everyone. Brews with Brad. We're back. Got Juan Guerra here with me. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, brother. Thanks for the invite.
Absolutely. I guess to kick it off, man, tell me a little bit about kind of how you fell in love with soccer, like your childhood, early years.
So I started playing when I was 4. So my dad is Italian. My mom is Venezuelan. Back in Venezuela, back then, soccer was not as big as it is today.
Yeah.
So I was like pretty much the only kid in, like, let's say my elementary school that I wanted to play soccer. Everyone wanted to play baseball. But I always wanted to play soccer because I used to see my dad, my grandfather always like, they were into soccer, watching soccer on the Sundays at home.
Right.
And that's how it started, man. I think my first soccer practice, I was 4 years old.
So then after that kind of initial time frame, what was the first like serious step into soccer? Like when did you think, oh, like I'm pretty good at this, like I could kind of use it to, you know, as a career, as my next step in life?
So it's interesting because the director of the team, or let's say the academy that I was playing in back home in Venezuela, in Caracas, since I was a kid, a youth, he was also the U17 and U15 youth national team coach.
Okay.
So he took it very serious. Like I remember, like probably after we were like, let's say 8 or 9 or probably 10, after that he would like start filtering players, and he took it very serious. And I think it was very early, probably 10 or 11. I've always wanted to play. I wanted to play. I knew I wanted to be a professional soccer player, and having him there as a, let's say, someone to look up to as a mentor.
Yeah, kind of help guide you a little bit.
So much, because then they will go to the, let's say, the U15 or like the U17 World Cup qualifiers, and then we'll see him on TV, and then we're like, oh, like, you know what, like I'm 10, you know, like 5 or 6 years, like I could be there with him.
Right.
So it helped a lot, and I think it pushed us every single day.
Yeah, it's awesome. So then that first professional contract, where was that? What did that look like? And kind of what was your route from FIU to Indy? I mean, most people listening and watching will know you from Indy 11, obviously a little bit Cosmos as well, maybe a little bit Tampa Bay, but what was that kind of in between those two times?
So I redshirted my sophomore year in college because I had an injury, so I had to get surgery. And I ended up graduating. Like I did summer school every year because I wanted to finish college quick in order to go to professional, especially because I would just see my friends from back home. Because in South America, if you're 17, 18, 19, and you're not in the pro environment or like playing in a professional league, it's very hard for you to get in after 19 or 20 years old. So I was already 20, and like all my friends were playing already or in leagues in South America or Europe, and I was like, I need to hurry up. So I graduated early. I went to the combine. I got drafted by FC Dallas. I believe that year was 09. Maybe your same draft year. I don't know. I think it was 09. So that year, I don't know if you remember, it was a mess in the U.S. economically. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Remember
I must have been the next. I was 2009. Yeah.
Remember they cut down the roster spots from like, I don't know, like 28 to like 23 or something. And like I remember being in the locker room and everyone just talking about like, wow, like is MLS gonna survive this year? Like what's gonna happen? They're cutting roster spots. They're like minimizing contracts, and like everything was like very strict. So I did all preseason with FC Dallas, and then Coach Shellis called me. He said, listen, Juan, like you're an international, you're just coming out of college, and I just don't know if we're going to use an international spot in a kid that has no professional experience, but we want to keep you around. And I told him, listen, I could go back home. I'll go to Venezuela and I'll play there, and hopefully then after a year or whatever, if you guys want me back, I'll come back. So that's what happened. My dad called some people back home. They knew me because of the U20 national team. Like, since I always stayed in touch. And I signed on a kind of like a mid-table team back home. The first 5 months were very hard because it wasn't easy for me. It was a small town, like 7 hours from the capital. It was a good team, but after being in the U.S. for 8 years and going back home, it was a cultural shock, I will say that.
Right.
Even though I wanted to be there and I wanted to play, but it wasn't easy to adapt again and doing this. And so it was weird for me because when I was in the U.S., I felt like I was an international. I wasn't from here. But then
Right.
after the 8 years of being here and going back to Venezuela,
Felt the same way.
I felt the same way. So I was like, dude, wait, like,
where the heck do I belong?
yeah, like where's home? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's home here, it's home there. So I didn't really like feel that I was, you know what I mean? Like, and I played that year. Thankfully, after like 6 months, I adapted very well, and I had a very good second part of the season. And a few teams got interest that wanted to sign me. So I told my agent, let's wait a bit to see if something better comes up. And then Caracas FC called, which is like the top team back home and one of the top 10 teams in South America. And I told my agent, I said, let's go. But he's like, Juan, like, listen, like, you have like 8 national team players there. The guys are playing your position. 3 of them were in the national team. Like, here you've been playing, and you saw how hard it was for you this first 6 months.
Right.
To get playing time and stuff, and you're only 22. Do you want to do that? I said, yes, let's do it. So as soon as I signed with Caracas, FC Dallas called me again, Shellis. And he said, listen, Juan, like, we want you to come back to MLS. I said, okay, I'll go back, but I want a guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't
Right.
want to show up to preseason. He said, no, just come to preseason and we'll talk. I said, no.
The old MLS way.
I said, no, Shellis. I need a guaranteed contract because I have something guaranteed here. He's like, oh, okay, we'll talk later. But that day there, I signed with Caracas and everything changed, man.
Yeah.
After that, it was amazing because I went back to the capital. I went back to the city that I grew. I went back to where my family was, all my best friends, childhood friends, and it was great. At first, it was tough, man, because I had to work my way through.
Sure.
It was
a lot of competition. Yeah.
So much, man. And not only about the first team players, then they have the youth, and they have every single player in the 15, 17, 20 national team. So you're not only competing against the 3 guys ahead of you, you're competing against the 15 guys that are behind you,
Yeah.
that are hungry and they want to be there. So it was tough, but thankfully, little by little, I got some playing time, and I just grabbed that opportunity, man, and I didn't let it go. The same scenario as the first year. First 6 months were very hard. Second 6 months, I got some playing time. We played 2 international tournaments, Copa Libertadores and stuff, and I got to start a couple of games, and then I just didn't get out.
Held the
I
spot.
played a lot,
Yeah.
I played the whole year, and then same thing. I signed only a 1-year deal. So when the year was done, my agent calls. He's like, "Listen, Juan, there's other teams back home that they want you, and like money, it's better and stuff. What do you want to do?" I said, "Oh, let's wait. Let's just wait a bit. Like something good has to happen." And we got the call from Europe, from Spain, from Las Palmas, and similar situation. I said, "Let's go." He's like, "Are you sure?"
Like, come on, agent. We've already been through this.
He's like, dude, like, are you sure? Like, you're already like playing in Caracas, your family. I said, let's do it, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, so what about, was it Spain straight to U.S.?
No,
or
so Spain.
how'd you end up
after
in the U.S.?
Spain, so after Spain, it was a whole national team thing with the Brazilian, when the World Cup was played in Brazil. So I got called for the national team. I played some games, and it was great. At the end of the year in Spain, so let's say the starting center mid that was playing in the national team, and like we were sharing spots, he gets hurt from an ACL injury, and the national team coach calls me. He said, "Listen, Juan, this guy got hurt, and probably you're not getting all the minutes that we want you to get in Spain. Playing wise, it would be better for you to come back to Caracas FC, play an international tournament again, and then play every week, and you have minutes, and that way when you go for the national team, because you're going to be the go-to guy because this guy's hurt." So I was like, it's a tough decision, but I said yes. And you're 24 years old, the national team coach calls you.
Yeah, for sure.
Venezuela was 3rd in the World Cup qualifiers. Brazil was not going to qualify. Like, they didn't have to qualify because they were playing at home. So we just had half of a round left. So I was like, nah, man, like, you know what? I did the math. I was like, I'll go back home. In a year and a half, 2 years, we're playing the World Cup. Everything, it seems so easy,
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It wasn't like that. So,
It's never that easy. Yeah.
never, man. So I said, okay, I'll do that. So I resigned my contract in Spain. I went back to Caracas FC. I played for a few months. I played for a year. Boom, I did my ACL. Yeah, bro.
That's just the center mid ACL curse, I guess, that year.
Yeah. So that's what it was. So then I had to kind of like, slow process, six
Those are always tough, man. I've knocked on wood, never had an ACL or like a super serious knee surgery, but I know I've talked to a lot of teammates in the past and friends that have gone through not only that particular surgery, but any serious surgery where the time frame's like, roughly a year before you're like really feeling back to normal. And it's a tough grind for most. It's weird because most people like in the working world, they have like a work setback, like maybe they had a bad day or a bad week or whatever the case is.
Yes.
But I don't think everyone fully understands like the setback of an injury for a professional athlete. And you can't do anything. You're not even like, you're part of the team, but you're not like, you're rehabbing before practice, you're just watching practice, you're rehabbing after practice. Like you're not traveling. So it's like you really feel like super disconnected from the team when that happens, and it's a tough feeling, physically obviously, and then mentally as well.
It is, man.
Yeah.
It is. So it wasn't easy, bro. It wasn't easy, and after that I came back. Another team in Venezuela offered me a good contract, and the assistant coach from Caracas SC went there. I said, I'll take it. I'll go there. I signed a year deal there. But I put something in my contract that in December, if I had an offer from any team outside of Venezuela before, and I remember because my dad put this in my contract, it wasn't my agent. He said, no, let's put this in your contract because I'm telling you, you're going to get a call in December. I said, but like the December market is very tough in South America and Europe. He's like, just put it. So I think we put December 16th, I believe. If we had an offer before that date on paper, the team had to let me go. Because in South America, man, if a team wants you and you're under contract, they're going to ask for money.
Right.
And it's super tough to get out, man. It's very, very tough. So we put that on the contract, and I was just coming back of the ACL little by little. I wasn't playing much. I didn't really feel 100% yet. And I wasn't really happy also because of the situation back home. Politically, cultural, everything. We have gotten married already.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
So I was already thinking, kind of like, okay, I'm married, I want to have a family, I want to do this, and what I'm seeing back home is probably not the ideal scenario for that, so I wanted to try to go somewhere. I didn't care where or what division, I just wanted to be able to get out again. And dude, it was interesting because the last game of the season, my agent calls me, he's like, hey, listen, Thomas Rungan, it's in Venezuela because he's recruiting for players. He just signed a good contract with the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and we're starting this whole new thing and stuff. So I said, I knew a bit about the league, I knew a bit about the NASL. I know it was an MLS, but it was, it was in order to come back to the US. So he's like, what do you think? I said, all right, like, why not, So he's like, okay, so well, he's gonna go watch the game and then you guys will talk after the game and stuff. So I was like, okay, great, whatever. The guy goes watch the game and I didn't play.
So what'd you think of my performance there, Thomas?
I was like, oh man. I was like, okay, I'm not going anywhere. So after the game, Thomas Rungan and I remember and Farouk Qureshi stayed in the stadium. He's like, listen, Juan, we want to talk to you. He's like, listen, we had dinner last night with the national team coach and like some other coaches, and everyone spoke very highly of you, and we would like to take you to offer your contract in Tampa. And like this was like outside of the stadium, and then I have Thomas, the coach, like talking about numbers and stuff, and I was like, oh, like nervous, I'm like, because I wasn't used to like talking numbers or money and stuff like that to coaches, because I always had my agent do that. I'd never felt comfortable with that. But now that I'm here in the US, I see that that's kind of like normal. Like
more
coaches,
common, yeah.
It's common. Like coaches calling players and talking numbers to them. Not all of them, but a lot do it.
Right.
So I was just like, wait, like Thomas, like, let's talk to my agent. I am interested, definitely. The only way I told him, I said, listen, talk the money with my agent and stuff. The only thing I'm gonna tell you is if I'm gonna go to Tampa, it has to be a 2-year deal. If not, I don't think I'm gonna take it. He's like, yes, we could do that and stuff. And then, dude, that last game was December the 12th, and they sent the offer December 15th, man.
One day before?
One day before, man. So we submitted the offer, and then even the team was like taking forever to respond, and then we were like, man, something's going on. Like they're just waiting to see that the deadline passes. But it worked out. it worked out, man. They submitted the offer, we signed, everything was good. I was a free agent, and I came to the States.
That's funny.
Area. Mitchell tries to settle.
Yeah, so obviously this past off season, we were both kind of in the same boat. And we had a few conversations last year about it, and we were kind of saying, you know, obviously we want to keep playing as long as possible, but when you get a little bit older and you start having some kids, then your mind kind of shifts a little bit. And we had some good chats about it towards the tail end of last year. And obviously we both decided to kind of turn the page, so to speak, and go a different direction. You obviously staying in soccer, me taking a job outside of soccer, but still staying connected.
Yep.
Can you touch a little bit on kind of the differences, you know, between playing and coaching, and kind of what you're seeing, kind of how that transition was for you?
Transition's been great. Honestly, I think the players have helped me a lot, man. The coaching staff, everybody. I think the players have been great since day one. Very respectful, understanding when I talk to them, and now, you know what I mean? It's different. I'm just not one. I'm always going to be their friend, you know what I mean? I'm always going to want the best for them, but now it's just a bit different. You have to just draw that line.
Right.
And they understood that right away from day one. So I think that helped me the most, because at first that was kind of like my only worry. I was saying, how are the guys going to take this, you know? Because 5 months ago I was with them in the locker room.
It is tough when you go from playing to coaching on the same team, because like you said, you played with, I don't know, half the guys 4 or 5 months ago. If you like switch teams, then it can be somewhat easier, because most people on that team will just view you as a coach, whereas if it's the same team, they'll view you as, you used to be my peer and player, but now your role changed. So.
I agree with you 100%. Not only the guys that stayed, but some of the guys that are coming in or came in, I played against them for the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but it's been good, man. Honestly, it's been great. Probably I didn't think it was going to come so soon, but it's definitely something that I've wanted to do.
Yeah.
After I was done with soccer, man. Honestly, after the Louisville game, I think a week or two passed, and then Martin just gave me a phone call. He was like, "Listen, Juan, just come into the office. I want to talk to you about something." So I was like, wow. Because I had 1 more year playing contract, because I had signed a 2-year deal in Indy. So I was like, whoa, that's interesting. What's
you gonna try to pull out?
What's gonna happen, you know? I was like, all right, Martin, I'll see you in a bit. And I came into the office, and he's like, no, I want to sit down, listen. As you know, Bill Bradley's gonna go to MLS with Vancouver.
Dos Santos, yeah.
Yes, remember, he's been offered to be part of the staff over there. So this opportunity is opening up. I know you have 1 more year playing contract, and if you want to use it and take it, take it. I would love to have you around, but I also want you to be here with me in the staff. And I don't know, if you don't take this opportunity now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to offer it to you next year.
Yeah, and you had it, I mean, like I said, we talked about it, and I knew you wanted to get into coaching.
Yes.
I mean, that's a great opportunity to start off your coaching career, like in the professional ranks, at a great organization, fantastic fan base, like good support from the front office, from the community. So, I mean, I'm sure it was tough for you to make that decision, as it is for anyone to you know, kind of hang up the boots, but you transitioned really well into a good role to kind of get your foot in the door to start that next chapter for you, you know?
Yeah, honestly, it wasn't easy, just because the way, like, it happened, you know, right after Louisville, like a week and a half or 2 weeks. But knowing Martin, what kind of a person he is, he could just look at you in the eyes and say, listen, Juan, this is what I want from you, this is what it is. I'm very thankful for everything he's done and the opportunity he gave me. You know what I mean? Like, as you said, in this great organization. And that also played a huge part of me making the decision, because I know kind of like, where am I today? I know what kind of organization is Indy. We know Ursel and all the leaders that the team have. We know the vision that they have. You know, they know where they want to go, and they know the steps that they have to take in order to get there. To the fan base, like, it is incredible, man. These guys are just support you. Like, well, you've been here, you know what I mean, 5 years. I was here only a month, you know, when I signed last January, and they were showing me so much love and stuff. And honestly, I was a bit worried because when I was in New York, you know, we're playing you guys, like it's sometimes like, you know what I mean? Like the games will get rough and like, or me scoring or whatever, like whatever. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna go to a big rival, you know what I mean? Like how are they gonna take it? Because I know their fan base, it's a big fan base, man. But everyone
it's welcome right away.
Welcomed me with open arms, and that to me was the most important thing, you know what I mean? Then
that. So on behalf of Juan and I, thanks BYB, all the fans, we appreciate it. That wraps it up today, Juan. I appreciate the time, man. Appreciate you coming on Brews with Brad. Let me cheers you on the way out, and we'll have to have you on again. Thank you.